Hi fellow traders, I'm back again with a video recap of my trades for the last couple of days. Um, and yes, I've been bored. I made a cover for my videos. Um, just messing around. Got to do something to keep my mind and my hands occupied when the trades aren't setting up and they're not ready yet. So first, I'm going to start with my trades from Thursday. Thursday was not a good day for me. Really, it didn't start out good for my trades. A lot of them were range bound. You can look at SUNE. It kind of gapped down a little bit prior to open, but this hit my VWAP scan somewhere in here, and so that's when I kept it on watch. And then I looked at, well, let's try the 15-minute open range breakout because I wasn't sure what it was going to do. I didn't expect this big candle to print, but when it did and it started running up, I went ahead and got long once it broke the 15-minute high, and I was really just looking for a scalp. Didn't know how far this was going to run, but I was surprised when this upper deviation band just kind of started running up with it. But when this candle printed, this next candle printed and started going red, I went ahead and took it right here because I felt I had a nice move, a better move than I had anticipated. So I went ahead and took profits here. It ended up being a nice trade. So I still, I watched it and it held a 9. So I went ahead and got long again here, expecting another scalp, up to this deviation band. But it didn't quite make it. And I wasn't paying attention to this whole dollar mark here. I really should have just taken profits here because that's normally what I like to do. If I'm running up to a whole dollar mark, just go ahead and take profits if it hits it, because it is going to pull back and sometimes it may make a run back up. But I didn't. I just kind of waited, and once I lost the 9 here, I went ahead and took profit on the second trade. Wasn't as much as I had wanted, but it really was a little late taking it off. But sometimes I get, I don't see everything and I miss stuff. I think it's just all part of, learning how to trade and gaining experience. But then I noticed a lot of, gurus and professional traders, every now and then they make the same mistake. So I didn't feel too bad. It was still two pretty solid trades on SUNE. But the one that really got me was on ACI. Now this one, I missed this move here. And I heard everybody talking about it, saw it in chat, saw it on Twitter. This was a hot stock. Everybody was getting ready to was shorting it, or was going to short it when it got up here. So I said, I'm thinking short squeeze, and that's all I was thinking. Just get in as long as it kind of stayed up here. Just get in and be ready for the short squeeze. Well, I took the trade right in here. Expecting, if anything, expecting to run up to this upper deviation band. And I figured, 40-cent move on 1,000 shares, that's $400. That put me at 1,000 for the day. That would be perfect, especially since I didn't trade the day before. But I watched it try to base right here. Then I got this doji, and once this doji printed, I noticed that the 9 was starting to move down the center too. And usually that tells me that the trend may be changing. I also look down here at the RSI, and you can see it was just making, from here it was just making, lower highs and then lower lows. So, once this doji printed, and I looked at all the evidence, I went ahead and took it off. But the problem came when I was in 1,000 shares, and my sell order was for 100 shares. So when I sold it, was a perfect get out. It was a perfect exit to protect my position and my capital. But because I don't have my gains up and my P&L up during trades, I didn't realize I only sold 100 shares. And it wasn't until I clicked back to look at how much I actually, how the trade actually ended up, that I saw my unrealized gains or losses continue to grow. So I panicked and went ahead and did a market sale immediately for those 900 shares. It ended up losing, I think, about 170 bucks. Could have been worse. I could have just closed the computer and walked away and, been looking at an even bigger loss. But just a mistake that I made, not paying attention to detail. And in trading, you have to. The first time you don't pay attention to details, it can, jump up and bite you. This was a little nick, but it could have easily turned into a big bite. So I'm gonna have to pay more attention to this, going forward, making sure that I have the right position size. I think earlier in the week, I was trying to cover a short, and instead of buying the cover, I accidentally sold 500 more shares, which, luckily I caught it and got out before it really made a difference. It only just messed up my commissions, but I'm just making too many little mistakes because I'm not locked in and I'm not really paying attention. So I'm going to be working on that, over the next couple of weeks. Now my trade today was on GME. I wanted to do an article on this last night, and I did some research. I saw it had earnings, and you had a lot of activity after hours. I was looking at it, then a little sell off, and then we had the conference call, and that to me was kind of iffy. The information that they shared, and I assumed that this thing was gonna sell off at open, or it might sell off pre-market. We might have a gap down, and that's exactly what we got. Unfortunately, I wasn't at my computer at the open, and I definitely would have shorted this because this is exactly what I was looking for. I mean, exactly 100%. I was looking for the sell-off, and then I was going to look for the bounce off support. Now, initially last night, I was expecting it to hit this support and bounce off, and make another run back up. But I was sitting here watching it, because when I got back to my desk, it was either printing this candle or this candle. But I remember saying, man, this resistance didn't even put up any fight, or this support didn't put up any fight. And it faded down to this lower deviation band on this support, and then it looked like it was going to lose this support, but it didn't. It quickly came back up. This candle printed, started going green, so I went ahead and took it. I was anticipating this support was going to hold, so I went ahead and took it. It's something that I'm working on. I'm trying to work on taking these reversals off support versus waiting for, confirmation of a higher low. I mean, the next candle making a new high, and then going in on the next candle, because you can see just how much profit I would have lost. I mean, that's a big deal. So listening to some of the the webinar that Kunal did and listening to how he trades. He trades off of support and resistance. He rarely waits for like a confirmation, so to speak. So, I'm working on that because a lot of times on these reversals, especially this summer, I would wait for confirmation and then get a small move. And had I come off of resistance, I would have made a decent profit, even if it didn't make the move I wanted it to. So coming here off of resistance was a perfect move. This turned out to be a real nice trade. And then my first profit target was a VWAP, but this candle was running, so I let it run. Once it started coming back, I went ahead and took profit because I always can get right back in. I'm always looking, especially if we're at the VWAP or some major support level. I'm always looking for the next run up. So once this held, it printed this candle, but then once it held a 9, I went ahead and got long for the next move up to this deviation band. I didn't get it. It came back, and I went ahead and took profits here, which turned out to be, a good move. And then something that I normally don't do, I try to avoid, was getting back into the trade for a third time. This turned out to be a dud. I got in here, but then it printed this doji and this one. And this was, a carbon copy of ACI the day before. And then, I saw the 9 starting to base out, so I went ahead and took it off. The minute this candle opened, I went ahead and took it off. When I saw that doji, that was it. I didn't want to, have the same problem I had yesterday. And it did get a little wash, not a big one, but it did come back down to the VWAP. But, after this, I was done for the day. 2 real good trades, 2 solid trades, 2 solid gains. This was pretty much a wash. I might have made $10 on it, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a wash. So, all in all, a pretty good day. I'm going to continue to work on these reversals and taking them off of support. Now my stop would have been a candle that closed below the support, so I wouldn't have let it get too far. But if the move looked like it was failing because this support wouldn't hold, I would have taken it off and then waited to see what it would do down here at this level. But I did have a tight stop on it, excellent risk reward, so I didn't have a problem going in 500 shares on this. Now here I went in only 300 because right here, because it was kind of an iffy trade. I didn't know if it would fade or if I was too early on it. And even this trade, I went in 300. Still wasn't convinced. I wanted to move up here, but wasn't convinced. So I didn't really hurt me that bad when it failed. So those were my trades for the last 2 days. The week ended pretty good. There were, I think, maybe 2 days I didn't trade this week, but that's the way it is, and I don't mind that at all as long as I continue to make good solid trades. But I think that's about all for now. So until next time, everybody have happy trading and stay green.